Would you pay $200 for Borderlands 4?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we got ourselves an exclusive interview with Randy Pitchford from Insider Gaming. And in this interview, he decides to reveal some interesting stuff, one of which is actually in the headline of this article where they quote him, where he says, "We will break 100 million units with this launch." Randy Pitchford on Borderlands 4. So we're going to cover everything Randy has said recently in interviews about Borderlands 4 and where he feels like he's going to sell in terms of units. And not only that, how he also feels like Randy Pitchford, they said that Borderlands 4 is worth $200 in the mind of Randy Pitchford, the CEO. I'm sure in his mind, it's worth $200, but I don't know how players are going to feel about that.
I don't know, many Borderlands fans are gonna buy it, but then again, understand one thing. Regardless whether you are a Borderlands fan or not, if the game is either broken or even in this case, prone with glitches, bugs, and performance issues, why justify the $200?
Borderlands 4 is set to be released worldwide on September 12th, and it's the broadest and most ambitious iteration that Gearbox has ever created. In Borderlands 4, players are set to explore a seamless open world and be presented with more choices and options for gameplay styles than ever before. He sat down with Randy Pitchford at Gamescom to learn all about Borderlands 4, from what it took to create to where it goes post-launch. He made a bold statement about the sale of the series and how impactful Borderlands 4 will be. So let's read everything that was said right now about this. Pitchford reflected on that and looked to the future of the series beyond Borderlands 4. He says, "We're just now beginning to dig into what our post-launch is, and we've got some extremely exciting plans that I cannot wait to share and talk about. We're now expert at making Borderlands 4, and when you're making a game, you kind of figure out how to make it as you ship it. That's one of the reasons why our post-launch content tends to be so good. Thinking about Borderlands beyond the game is so wild to me. I remember I came to Gamescom with Borderlands 1, just trying to scream from the tallest mountain to get anyone to pay attention to it, and nobody cared."
That is true, nobody cared. Do you even offer something of value, Randy Pitchford? Because normally when nobody cares, that means you didn't offer them some values or anything, you didn't entice them. Because that's the thing, how the market works. You have to entice people to see your game. You can't just force people, okay? That's not how the market works.
A lot of people predicted that Borderlands wasn't going to work. Now here we are with the game franchise. We will break 100 million units with this launch easy. All in with the franchise. Borderlands is more than 15 years old as a series. And as Pitchford explained, he spent the last 20 years of his life building it and pushing it out to the masses. With each iteration, the franchise becomes more explosive and energetic, and Borderlands 4 represents, for now, the pinnacle of the series. Now, here's the problem, okay? The problem with this is that Borderlands, unfortunately, has lost its, I don't know if you want to call it its charm. I don't know if you want to call it its luster. But Borderlands, for a lot of people, has lost its charm and has lost its luster because the last iteration, especially, was so successful because it was built off of the back of the one before it. A lot of people loved Borderlands 2, myself included. I think Borderlands 2 is probably the best one out of all of them so far. Borderlands 3 sold what it sold because people loved Borderlands 2 and they thought they were going to get a better game with Borderlands 3. And then Borderlands 3 comes out and they realize that it's not exactly up to snuff. It's not exactly what they thought it was going to be. And unfortunately, that now is going to lead to potentially less sales for Borderlands 4. Do I think Borderlands 4 is going to flop? Absolutely not. I've said this since day one. I think the game has a big enough built-in fan base that it could see it through all the way to the end. However, I don't think it's going to sell as much or as quickly as Borderlands 3 did during its launch because Borderlands 3 had a lot of hype from 2. A lot of hype. Like, I don't think people even realize how much hype was behind Borderlands 3 from Borderlands 2. And then when people got their hands on it, that's when the truth came out about the game. And it just didn't hit where it needed to hit.
Meaning that Borderlands 4 is not going to get any much better because the hype around Borderlands 3 is kaput. Finito. Well, some people will buy it. There's no doubt about it. But again, don't forget, if there are performance issues, or in this case, bugs and glitches, well, that's gonna turn off a lot of people, okay?
Still sold, don't get me wrong, and it still made its money, don't get me wrong, but the community sentiment around the game wasn't that great for the majority of people. There were some people that did like it, and that's okay. But for the majority of people, it really wasn't that great of a Borderlands game. Now we got Borderlands 4, and they're promising to go back to what made Borderlands great, but we don't exactly know what that means for Randy Pitchford, considering all the nonsensical things that he says in interviews. This guy says some of the dumbest shit in interviews by far. The last number suggested that the series was sitting at around 92 million units sold, which means that Gearbox is anticipating at least 8 million sales with Borderlands 4. Now, that may be very well possible. 8 million sales over, maybe the first year or two is definitely possible. Borderlands 3 sold millions of copies within the first month, so I'm sure it could probably do something similar. I just don't think it's going to do as much as quickly as Borderlands 3. So now let's talk about a separate article going over what Randy Pitchford said about the price of Borderlands 4 and what he feels like the game is worth. I guess $70 is an okay compromise between free or $200. Gearbox boss Randy Pitchford ruffled some feathers recently with a comment that a real fan would pay $80 to play Borderlands 4.
Randy Pitchford should have listened. If I were a game developer myself, and if one of my fans, or in this case my consumer, says, don't go this route, what I do is simple. I listen. I listen to feedback. If they don't want this price, I listen. In order for you to justify either $80, $90, or even $100 or $200, you're gonna have to give something, or in this case, give value to the customer. Why bother justifying a $200 game when the game is prone to bugs, glitches, performance issues? It's not gonna work.
Cost that much, and then somehow unruffle those feathers with the reveal that it won't cost that much. Borderlands 4 will be $70, like most other games from big publishers right now. Speaking to Games Radar, Pitchford said that now $200 will be a fair price for Borderlands 4, but that he wishes it would free. Now, come on, guys. Does anybody sincerely believe that Randy Pitchford, the CEO, thinks that Borderlands 4 should be free? Does anybody sincerely believe that? I don't believe that for a second. I'm sure you guys are probably rolling your eyes right now watching this video. Like, did he really say that? I don't understand why he says these things because nobody's laughing, bro. Nobody is legitimately laughing at any of the jokes or anything Randy Pitchford says. And he says some of the dumbest shit in the world. And this is one of them, right? But in any case, according to Randy Pitchford, he believes that it's worth $200. He says, shit, I think they could charge $200 for this game. Pitchford said, I wish they'd give it away because then everyone would play it. That's not how the business works, but the value is there. This recurring theme in a game pricing debate goes back for as long as I can remember. A video game may cost more than a movie, but a movie only lasts a couple of hours, while you can easily spend 100 hours or more playing a big game. You look at all the past Borderlands games, we have people that spend thousands of hours in the Borderlands. Pitchford said, if you think that about the terms of the most amount that could have ever been spent versus the time of entertainment, you can't find a better value in the world for any kind of entertainment. I agree with that. And this is why gaming is the #1 entertainment medium in the world. That is true, and there's a reason why that is the case.
Yet, Hollywood is not gonna listen, okay? It's the reason why you see Borderlands movie flop. What else that flop? I don't know. There's a lot of flops, okay? Oh yeah, The Last of Us Season 2. Because Hollywood, they don't even care about the source material. They just bastardize it.
Because there is a lot of value sentiment that you could get from buying one singular video game as long as you know what you're buying. You could end up buying Oblivion Remastered and spend thousands of hours in that one game. Right, you could buy Skyrim and spend thousands of hours in that game. You just could do that. You could buy The Witcher 3 and spend thousands of hours in that game. That's kind of just how it goes. There's some merit to the argument. When I've been strapped for cash, I've definitely favored big RPGs that I could chew on for months. And an astronomical amount of work does go into a game like Borderlands 4. But as Pitchford acknowledges, the argument only goes so far. I wouldn't pay $70 for an audiobook version of a so-so novel just because it's long or because you told me that the author spent 10 years writing it. I'll take the shorter, better novel, please. And I agree with that. It all depends on the entertainment medium. And with video games, they're interactive, right? With a book, you're just reading the story and experiencing it and using your imagination. When it comes to video games, it's interactive. You're taking part of it. You're involved in the story. You're taking every step through the eyes of the character that you're playing as. So it's a totally different thing, and it's worth a different amount of money. But obviously, Randy Pitchford is being Randy Pitchford with his stupid comments. He says $70 is a lot of money for most people. I don't think they care about how big AAA budgets are. I think it's so funny that now they're saying that $70 is a lot of money for most people. when these people would be like, oh, $80, that's the norm, that's what's coming, deal with it.
I think this is the reason why AA, indie, and also games made in the East, most of them, they're not AAA. There are some that are AA or indie in the East. And yes, their prices are very cheap. I don't know what the price for Lost Soul Aside. I'm gonna have to check back again, okay? Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers was cheap. It's like, what, $50 or something?
Suddenly 70 is too much for people. Make up your mind where you stand. There are a lot of other things they could do with their money and time, and it's notable that we're seeing some games going down from $60 rather than up. Dune Awakening and Clear Obscure Expedition 33 are two examples of highly rated $50 games from this year. And to be honest with you, $50, that is the number. $50 is the number, in my opinion, for most AAA experiences that have any sort of value to them. After that, it starts to become, well, what else are you giving me? Because if you're not giving me anything else, I could go play these $50 brand new games and get a way better experience for way more of my time for way less money versus your $80 slot video game that I'm going to be bored of in like 5 hours. So it all really just depends. But of course, as much as Pitchford likes to stoke the flames of discourse, and I appreciate him helping us stay warm, he's got no illusions about the realities of the marketplace. He says at the end of the day, when I want something and I feel like what they're asking for is fair, I'll get it. Keep in mind, this is the guy that's worth millions upon millions of dollars. Can you imagine? Do you really think this guy walks in somewhere and asks out how much something costs? Do you really think he cares? On average, 99.9% of his shopping is just basically grabbing whatever he wants and paying for it. This man never once asks how much something is. I would guarantee you that's the case.
I swear, honestly, sooner or later, he's gonna face the harsh reality. When his game failed, it's gonna hit him hard, 100%.
He needs to seem like one of the normal people. So whatever. Anyway, the Gearbox CEO told Games Radar, if I don't want something, I won't. Or if I think that what they're asking of me isn't fair, I'm not going to do it. All the talk doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that's what it is, bro. This guy does not fucking ask the price of anything. I don't believe him for a single second. So you guys can let me know.
So, what do you think, folks? Now listen, again, like I said, if you want to justify either $80 or $100 for a video game, then you have to give people, in this case gamers, the value they deserve. How are you going to justify an $80 or even $100 just because the game is prone to bugs, glitches, or what, performance issues, or even crash to desktop, whatever it is? But with that kind of thing, why bother justifying a $200? The game might as well be called a scam. Now look, yes, there will be some Borderlands fan to buy this, which that's okay, even though there won't be as much. However, and I do mean however, all it's going to take is just one person to say something that will probably alienate not just the Borderlands fan, everyone. Let me give you for example, Rachel Zegler. How do you think she ended up with when Snow White came? She didn't just insulted Disney fans, she also insulted nearly half of America by saying Trump supporters can know no peace. And after that, the fate is sealed. Snow White failed. Snow White remake failed. So Randy, be careful what you say. Just one word. Your game will fail miserably. And you have no one to blame but yourself. And another thing, don't try to be a comedian. It's not funny, numbnuts.
Well done, Griffin. Now we got this airfield secured, we can get a foothold on this island and start pushing the Japanese back. We're through retreating, lad. America's back in this war.
Leave a like and subscribe if you want woke or anti-war detected, or you just want to see me play games, or perhaps you like trending topics. Visit my second, third, and fourth channel up here or link in the description.